Dr. Love, you are live.
Hello and welcome to the Dr. Love Show. I'm Gabby Love, a matchmaker and love counsel here based in New York City. This series of shows came upon when my investor mentors told me that it's time to start branding the Dr. Love name. I'm currently working towards my Ph.D. and my dissertation is on marital satisfaction and personality types. This episode will also be aired on public access television here in New York City. I thank you and my producer, Coos, for being a part of this adventure. A great marriage doesn't happen because of the love you had in the beginning, but how well you continue building love until the end. That was written by Orebela Gbenga. One of the hardest things for new and young lovers to believe is that it will ever end. However, experience teaches all of us that while we might fall in love, an enduring, empowering, passionate love and happiness doesn't just happen. Rockstar marriages are built. This show will focus on the best techniques and practices that will allow and encourage rockstar marriages to happen. Perhaps perfectly describing rockstar marriage is Harville Hendrix, an author, Ph.D., and relationship expert, when he pointed out marriage ultimately is the practice of becoming passionate friends. This episode focuses on sharpening your loving skills by sharing proven strategies for building and maintaining rockstar marriages. For this episode, I'm bringing on an expert of panel experts on self-empowerment, relationship building, and love experts. This panel includes Rabbi Stephen Bars, who is based in D.C. and specializes in marriages. Real live rock star musician Peter Kelly, who's based in New York City and is widely known for his music. He has a brand new album called Don't Let Me Be Alone. And of course, we've invited Peter's girlfriend, the lovely Tiana. Thank you, Rabbi Steve, Peter, and Tiana for joining us tonight. I'd also like to thank my co-host and director, Coos, a producer and empowerment educator based in Orlando, Florida. So, Rabbi Steve, let me ask you. Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
Hi, Gabby.
Please tell us about your Get Bliss programs and the classes in New York City and D.C. I went to one of them, and I've been hooked ever since.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So the concept is built around the idea of playing golf. Any of you guys play golf? Any golfers here?
I play golf.
You play golf? Okay, so you see, if you're playing next to, let's say, Tiger Woods, I don't play. But I would not be able to tell the difference between the two of you. Maybe you're a better dresser than he is. But you see, if you're really good at something, if you practice something, the gap between just being able to manage and excellence is fractions of an inch. So a lot of marriage programs put a lot of emphasis on doing a lot of the heavy work, and that's necessary to get to, to get on the tee. But to go from just an average marriage to a blissful marriage is very small little techniques. And that's what we teach, tiny little techniques. They're easy to do. They'll give you an incredible relationship.
I love that. I always say it starts with changing smaller patterns, and then you can get into changing larger patterns. So I really like that, and I really have been enjoying your programs here in New York City. You teach me so much.
We love having you.
So honestly, what are the men doing wrong in the 21st century? In marriages that you've seen the most activated since you work with so many married couples?
You see, a guy in the 21st century, he's having a ball. right? If you're living in New York City, I'm from London, in Washington D.C., anywhere, life is grand. This is the age of having, you're going to have a great life, but you're missing something really, really, really big. And that is, it's wonderful to do things you love. If you've got a love and you're doing it, you're having a great time. But if you're doing something you love with someone you love who loves that too, you get a trifecta. You can't compare the love, that experience that you're going to have. And that's what you guys are missing out. That's what men are missing out on. And to be able to get that kind of love, it's sort of like a mixer, like you can have those veggie mixes in the morning, or some people like smoothies, right? You can't have you got to put it all in the mixer, and then what comes out is better than any of the individual parts. So to have that experience of doing what you love with someone who loves it, who you love too, you've got to be able to put all the things that you love in the mix and be willing to see what comes out.
I love that. I recently invited Rabbi Stephen Bars to be my partner in my Love Rescue program, working with couples, because I feel I met my match of a cheerleader for love. You and I are very much cheerleaders for people, and we believe in their love and in activating and making it fun and joyful and blissful. So I really appreciate that in you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So how about the women, Rabbi Steve? What would you say that they can do to avoid any battle of the sexes?
So you see, every human being has a language that's unique to every type of person that they have in their lives. There are things that your mother can say to you that your husband couldn't dream of saying to you. There are things your husband could say to you that your kids couldn't say to you. There are things your kids could say to you that no one else could say to you. There's things your sister can say to you. People complain that their spouses, they don't listen. If you look carefully, they listen to other kinds of people. So we all do this. We all have an ear to hear certain kinds of people and certain kinds of messages. And it's really not just women, it's anyone, but women, everybody has to learn your spouse's language. How come he listens? I said exactly the same thing, and his boss said that, and he heard it, or his mother said it, or his father said it. So there's something that the way he listens that gets through. We do this naturally with children. When it comes to children, we acclimate our voices so that they can hear us. You don't even consciously think about it. You say things in a tone that you know your kids can hear. You can see when you go home, you talk to your mother. She'll talk to you in a way that she doesn't talk to anybody else. We all have a unique language based on our relationships at work, our spouses, right? You got to change your language. If you change your language, you'll be able to get through.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a new program called the Communication of Love program.
Great.
And I really appreciate the 5 languages, too.
Chapman, right? Gary Chapman, right? 5 love languages, right? Phenomenal concept.
Yes.
Very good.
I agree. So, Peter, let me ask you, how do you juggle rock star fame and women throwing themselves at you and a committed relationship with the lovely Tiana?
Well, I'm not sure I've achieved the level of rock star fame where it's overbearing yet, but
1 million followers, I would say, can be a little overbearing for some.
it's a little. I mean, I think it's an attitude. I think if you throw yourself in the middle of that thing coming your way, I think it could be an issue. I think, but when you're content with the person you're with, and you're focused on your career. And you know, I try not to let myself get put in the way of that attention. It's, you know, it's flattering, and it does happen from time to time, but it's not my focus. It's not really my interest. I'm content, and I think that makes it pretty easy, actually.
And so what do you value most, fame or love? I've always wanted to ask a rock star that question, so I had to put it in there.
I mean, if you ask Bono, it'd probably be a different answer than what I give you. I mean, but I think for me, I mean, I think when you're pursuing a career of any kind, it definitely takes over your brain. It takes over your life. You start working towards this thing, and you know, it consumes you. But a lot of the joy you get from that is fleeting, and what you get from someone who's with you all the time, who's with you through the ups and downs, and who's going to be with you when it's all over, is ultimately much more satisfying and much more important, and it's worth more.
I love that. It's worth more. I really love that. I don't think that much more is worth more than real love. You know, I really don't. So that's beautiful. Thank you. What about Tiana makes her your chosen rock star girlfriend? I think this could really, you're very admired by a lot of women, more than most men. Okay, you know, 500,000. You know, 500,000. I'm sure most of those admiring you aren't men. That's just my instinct. But so, you know, so a lot of them I think would appreciate you. What makes Tiana stand out to you than, you know, 500,000 other women?
Me and Tiana met a very unique way, and I think I told you this the first time I met you. Me and Tiana almost got in a car accident, and after we almost collided, I caught up to her at a red light. We yelled at each other back and forth. She called from infinity, and for some reason, after that little altercation, we were going to go separate ways, and at the same time, we both blew each other a kiss. And it was immediately, it was like there's something unique about this situation. About a half hour later, I came back around the block, and I spotted her car, and I left my card on her window, and she called. And it's been 3 years. I mean, actually, this picture you see back over here, I gave her last Christmas. That's a picture of the spot where we met.
Aww.
I took a picture of it, and I wrote, "The first time ever I saw your face." And I think me and Tiana really know where we started, how unique an opportunity it was for us to interact and try to make the best of something that could have easily passed us by. And I think immediately there's value in that. And the fact that we were both single, available, and we just had compatible personalities and compatible needs at that time. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't waste that opportunity. You know, it's 1 in a billion. That's my time.
You know, there's something to the majesty of perfect timing in love, and it really seems like a majestic moment. That day that is so memorable for both of you. It was there was a lot of majesty happening in your love lives at that day. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Tiana, let me ask you, how do you juggle Peter's rock star fame and women throwing themselves at him on a regular or semi-regular basis?
It can be tricky at times for me. I'd say, you know, it's less tricky for him because, you know, he's been in the music business pretty much all his life. He's used to this kind of attention. Being that the card he left me was a business card, the one he left me on my windshield, I immediately knew he was a musician. And once I got to know him more, I realized that it wasn't just a hobby. He was trying to make a career out of it. And I started, I don't want to say to get turned off necessarily, but I was a little intimidated, and I don't think I was particularly interested in the competition. You know, I kind of felt like I'd never been with anyone who was in a spotlight in that sense, and I'm a little more introverted, so, you know, I was a little fearful at first because of that, you know, exact thing. But then once I started to lean into the love a little more and started to release that fear, I began to understand what he was in this for. And once I had a better understanding, I started to trust his intentions more, and, you know, whatever, if it's women being thrown his way, or if his attention's really divided because he's got so much going on career-wise, or whatever it might be that's distracting him at the moment, you know, I felt like the more our relationship went on, the more solid things started to feel, and you kind of just settle into it, and you realize, like, your place in it is much bigger than all that stuff going around the perimeter.
Nice. You know, what I hear is once you started to understand and really appreciate his stance and why he's chosen that as his passion. I have a webinar actually later tonight called FEM 2016, where I teach the difference between wife energy, unicorn energy, and girlfriend energy, and that's a big one there when you can get into the we versus the me. Yeah. And I think that with him, he was the man that was pivotal in your life to take you from the me into the we, because you had to go into understanding his passion, appreciating it, and not making it about what your experience was going to be within it. And I feel that when a partner can do that for us, because not very many men have ever been able to take me out of my me, and the ones that have been, you know, I've almost married. So, you know, and that's the ticket. So, and I heard you say it right there, so that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. What do you think he values most in you that's you've been chosen above all else?
I think ultimately Peter just values our connection above everything. I think he values the level that we can communicate at. And when it comes to me, I think he values the fact that I can self-reflect and I can step out of the me, like you say, and take responsibility, you know, for my side of the street, so to speak. And I think that makes a huge difference. I think he, you know, feels really good when, you know, blame or fingers aren't being pointed towards him. You know, if something's going on, let's say, you know, if we're having a disagreement or an argument or some type of, you know, fight or tension, I think what separates me from the rest of his, let's say, past relationships is the fact that we can work through it, and he doesn't have to, you know, necessarily own that burden. It's not all his fault. It's not all my fault. And I think us working together as a team is what he probably feels is, you know, something that separates me from the rest.
And she's never thrown anything at me.
Yes.
That's awesome. What would you say about Peter makes him the #1 choice for you?
Oh, it goes back to exactly what you were saying. He's really made me realize what it means to be a part of a team and what it means to be in a relationship. And his ability to express himself and communicate is, you know, something I've yet to experience with anyone else.
It's almost female, right?
It's
almost female.
Practically female. He's like my ultimate he/she. But his attention to detail, his self-awareness, you know, for a long time, I was waiting for someone like Peter, waiting for someone who could teach me a thing or two and pull me out of my comfort zone and raise me to a higher vibration, because I always felt like I had more potential in my relationships, and you know, I never felt like I could rise to an occasion, and Peter inspires me to do that.
Oh, that's so awesome. Inspired. That's exactly why I'm waiting for my Rockstar Marriage, is for the guy to really inspire my work even more. And I think I have found him, but there's still more time needed to tell. But that hit home with me, Tiana. Like, being inspired by our men is it's just a lovely, lovely feeling.
Yeah.
Just keep driving around. You're almost bound to run into one.
So whose fault was it on the accident?
Ah.
Oh, I mean, it was absolutely her fault. Absolutely her fault.
Okay.
Oh, well, who did the hitting? Really, I want to know too.
This is going to be something. This is going to be something going to be arguing with the grandchildren.
I mean, I was backing out of a spot, and she had to go over a double yellow line into oncoming traffic with her hand on the horn to avoid hitting. So I'm going to put the blame on her.
This is going to be in the movie of your life story.
Yeah, it's such a great story.
It's a great story.
And then it's just something we can all work on manifesting for ourselves. A supermarket parking lot accident when we find the love of our lives. So, Coach, let's take it over to you from the alpha male's perspective. And what would you say are the 3 most important attitudes, strategies, and techniques for building a rockstar marriage? Now, I know that you are an empowerment coach and you work with people on their love lives, men and women. You have been married and divorced. So I'm really interested to see what you have learned from all of this experience.
Well, I must say that being married and being divorced is an education in itself. But let me share with you, not just from my life, but from the people I've worked with, 3 cautionary notes that are important in establishing, I think, a rock star marriage. And the first and probably the most important point is, if you're not actively working on strengthening your relationship, it is eroding, no matter how much you may be in love at the time. And it's both people's job to work on the relationship. If I had to criticize myself, I think I'm a checklist person. You know, find the person that you love, get engaged, get married, and get on with your career. Not the best approach. You know, really is something that 2 people have to work on together. Relationship, and it's not something that exists at one point in time. Relationships are dynamic, and it's something you have to be working on all the time, not just when it's raining. My second point I would share is that seeking professional counseling from people like yourself, Dr. Love, and Rabbi Stevens is not a sign of weakness, but intelligence and strength. And I would have to admit myself that, you know, I never sought counseling. And in retrospect, I should have. And part of the reason I didn't seek counseling is I thought I knew it all. And, you know, it was my job to counsel other people. And that moves into my third point, which is just because you are, or even if you are a world-class counselor, a love coach, a relationship specialist, that doesn't qualify you to be to work on your own relationship without help from other people. It's sort of like a nobody is good enough to not get a third party advice and counseling. Now, especially, of course, I was a college professor. And like I was watching a show, Dr. Phil, the other day, and he was talking to his wife, and his wife made the point, for us to have a successful marriage, which they've had, I think, almost 30 years, Dr. Phil had to agree on one thing, which is he wouldn't be my counselor. In other words, I'm not his patient. I'm not his student. I'm his partner. And I think that's a very important lesson. And many of us are the alpha, especially the men in our businesses. And then we're the alpha in our relationships. But in our businesses, we know that being the alpha doesn't mean we get to make all the decisions. If we're smart, we're going to get the advice from the best people out there to be good. The same thing is true in our relationship because, we are biased. Now, it's my job to ask Dr. Love these questions. Dr. Love, tell me, what on earth made you decide to do a show called RockStar Marriages when you haven't even been married yourself?
Well, this show I actually came upon because of all of my experience with happy couples like these two that we have here, Tiana and Peter, working with Rabbi Steve, and the thousands of clients that I've worked with in the last 15 years. As somebody who's working on a doctorate, if I haven't extracted some statistical information out of all of that love that's been exposed to me, healthy love, and comparing it and correlating it to the unhealthy love, if I haven't extracted a thing or two out of all of that, then there would be something wrong with me, seriously. So I feel I have enough data from thousands of people collectively to know the tools, the strategies, and the mechanisms, the management needed to maintain a secure, healthy, awesome, passionate love life. I've also, since working towards my doctorate and finishing a second master's degree now, I've gotten a lot of introspective time for myself, and I feel I've narrowed down what my issues are, and I do finally can appreciate the aspect of marriage. I've never really understood what the benefit would be of having somebody else around all the time, because I'm so independent and I need a lot of space and I need a lot of alone time. But also in these last few years, really working with a lot of people, I have gotten to really value the institution of marriage in my own way, which is different than a lot of other people. And I thought, wow, if I can feel as great as I do on a regular basis and have somebody who is around all the time who also feels as great as I feel on a regular basis, then we have two super highly charged, positive beings under the same roof. And I thought that's just going to magnetize my positive feelings towards life, towards my work, towards him. And I thought that is something that I can really value in marriage. And so because of all of this putting together and the fact that I am planning to get married in the next couple years, my boyfriend is aware of this, and hopefully he will feel the same that I feel about myself, that I am now ready to really walk into wife energy and be and appreciate all that it takes to be a wife. Since I'm in that stage of my life this year, I just turned 40 this week, I feel that's why I was entitled to do a show called Rockstar Marriage.
Now, Dr. Love, you have developed some very unique language, and you know words are power. I'd like you to explain. You talk a lot about wife energy and unicorn energy. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes, I'm actually writing a wife energy unicorn program right now because I feel a lot of the work I do with my femmes in my love counsel work is teaching the single women exactly what that looks like. And I feel I have discovered some clear distinctions as to what makes a woman girlfriend lover energy and what can graduate her if she wants. Now, not all women want to be wives. You know, I haven't really wanted that until really this year. So if she wants it, I feel I have found some things that can assist her in getting that. And the unicorn energy, I take that name, I really steal it from the guy online, that if you Google hot, sexy matrix, he talks about the unicorn being that woman that is not attainable. And if you think you found one, it's probably a dude, he said. Because he says that women just can't be that emotionally intelligent. So I have taken that work and I've turned it into my own work, into teaching women what that really is. And that is part of the difference. What makes wife energy and unicorn energy is the utmost emotionally intelligent women. I feel like I've worked, most of my clients are men, and I have worked with so many men, particularly in these last 2 years, that have taught me the reason they walk away most from women is not because of beauty, not because of sex, not because of religion. It is because of that emotional intelligence. Once a woman shows significant signs that she's not more emotionally intelligent than him, or at least equal, I feel like he will leave us or you at any time. So no woman is really safe from that. And so wife energy, another good example that's more tangible and real than the unicorn, is Jackie Onassis. So I also call them the Jackies. No one has anything bad to say about Jackie Onassis other than they feel she might have been a doormat. But overall, what her gift was is she was about the we and the us. What's better for we and the us versus the me. If it was me, I would have left him because I would have been too hurt or too sensitive. Wife energy, unicorn energy, does not get too hurt or too sensitive by anyone. And obviously I'm not talking about extreme crimes or things of that nature. I'm talking about the basic things that like Rabbi Steve deals with every day in his office as to when couples are struggling. I'm talking more on the even scale of game of things. So these women master really what's better for we and for the us versus the I.
I have one more question for you, but before I ask that question, I'd like to go back to Dr. Stevens a moment. I mean, Rabbi Stevens. A moment.
He's a doctor. He's a doctor of love for sure.
Yes. And I was fascinated when you talked about those attitude, strategy, and techniques that you teach. But you didn't tell us what some of them were. Could you share 2 or 3 of those with us?
Yes, so you see, in all of life, in all our relationships, there are 4 quadrants. There's win-win, win-lose, lose-win, right? And win-lose, lose-win, right? Lose-win, win-win, lose-lose, win-lose, lose-win, right? Because you can picture the 4, right? In other words, you buy a car for $500 and you sell it for $5,000, you won, the other guy lost, and the other way around too. And we all understand that in all our relationships. In a meaningful, committed relationships, there was only 2. And as soon as you get that through your head, your whole relationship changes. There's only win-win or lose-lose. There's no win-lose in a marriage, in a relationship. In other words, if your partner loses and you win, you're going to be losing too, right? And
Especially
vice
if you're the
versa,
guy.
right? There's no win-lose. In other words, if your spouse or partner wants something and you don't, whatever it happens to be, and you go no, and you battle it out, and you fight it out, whatever it is, and you won and they lost, you're going to lose. So, in other words, when you're living with someone who feels they've lost, you're going to pay the price for that somewhere down the road. It's going to come back to kick you, right? It's sort of like eating donuts. You know, 100 years ago, people didn't understand that if they ate a dozen donuts every week, they're going to weigh 300 pounds in 6 months. Right? Today we know that if you eat a dozen donuts, that's what's going to happen. But you see, some people think that if they break the dozen donuts out, one donut every day, and they don't eat it all at once, it doesn't really add up. I'm here to tell you it does.
Well, what is the solution? Is it compromise all the time?
No, no. Compromise. If you compromise in a relationship, you will suck the life. You'll not only suck the life out of your relationship, you will suck the life out of your life.
I have something to
See,
add.
an example, right? What's that?
I have something to add.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Just go on to what you're saying. I think like what me and Tiana have found is, all right, if there's something that is wrong, sometimes there's somebody who's more wrong than right. I think you win when the person who is wrong could admit that they're wrong. I think that's important. Instead of trying to battle it out or say, oh, it's always 50-50, it's always, well, we're both wrong, we're both right, we both do better. It's maybe, you know, maybe you are wrong, or maybe I am wrong, and maybe you need to say it, or maybe I need to say it, and I think that's important. I think that's very liberating.
That's a phenomenal point, right? In relationships, it's even though it's a relatively meaningful argument, who started it, right? But the better question is who's going to end it. And either one of you can step up and say, you know, I'm going to take the bullet on this one. Not literally. I hate when that happens. Right? But I blew it, right? And any time, and this is very true, right? Even if your spouse or partner is wrong and you're right, but any time you get abusive, meaning you get angry, or you call them names, or you bring up history, or you deprecate their family, or any one of those things, even though you're right, wrong techniques are, you know, a bad move, and you have to apologize for that.
So would you say what Peter said, that somebody is always wrong and somebody is always right? So is it somebody just admitting the wrong that is going to make things better?
Yeah, no. What Peter said is
feel they're right.
Peter said is a phenomenal idea. What Peter's pointing out, which people don't do in relationships, is they want to get to like, we're both right or we're both wrong, and they just forget about it kind of thing. And that's terrible. What Peter was saying is a phenomenal idea. Someone has to stand up and say, I'm wrong. And when you do that, it's very liberating in a relationship. And he makes that point. It's a very healthy thing to do in a relationship. To, you know, yeah, I'm taking responsibility. I shouldn't have said what I did, or whatever the issue happens to be. It's a very, very meaningful way to relate to somebody. Because when you say I'm wrong, what you mean is you are important to me that I have to apologize to. It's a very important thing.
Have you ever heard the concept happy wife, happy life?
Not your face.
I don't know if I agree with that.
And the last show we had Heather Dawn on, who's a coach in Los Angeles, and she talked about choosing to be right or choosing to be loved. And you both helped me a lot, guys. Thank you. It made me realize why I think a lot of my relationships do work out, when things do go wrong, I have no problems even pretending that I'm wrong, even when I think I'm right, just to make the relationship smoother in that moment. And I thank you both for kind of reprimanding me on that. That it's a positive thing, and it's I actually absolutely don't have any problem admitting that I'm wrong, or even pretending that I think I'm wrong in moments of heated discussion. So thank you for that.
So again, Peter, who caused that accident again?
Well, I mean, there's really no argument there. It's absolutely her fault.
Okay, Gabby, returning to you, what does a rock star husband look like to you?
Well, I'm figuring that out. Peter is not here. Rabbi Steve is not available. I'm in the process of figuring that out. I've actually been consciously working on figuring that out for about 15 years. Many of you would say maybe it takes me a long time to reach my goals, but this has been. In my youth, I have a lot of avoidant tendencies and commitment issues, and it has been something that I feel I'm just now conquering later on in my 30s. So I have had a delay. I'm also a unique personality type that is extremely independent and really, it's difficult. Intimacy has been a struggle. And so now when I do feel I have it, it's magical. And we're both very fulfilled in our intimacy once I actually choose somebody to explore that with. And so I would say what I'm discovering now is the rock star husband for me chooses me. I think that a lot of the femme energy, men really seem to value freedom. And a woman who allows themselves to feel free even after she marries him, that is truly a value for any man to marry. And for women, we like to feel we are the object, number one object of your attention. So I feel women, what we value in marriage is attention and adoration from the man that we select. And so what I teach the femmes and the men is that women, we cannot get lazy on giving that man that feeling of freedom his whole life, and especially after you marry him. And I teach the men to always be consciously adoring and giving lots of attention to the woman that you choose. We cannot really get lazy in that. Even if you have 7 children, you still have to remember to adore her, right? Would you say?
That's right.
Right? Yeah. Right. So for me, I'm thinking the rock star husband for me chooses me first and doesn't forget that. And I'm feeling really hopeful with my current boyfriend now. And he's really energetically and physically and emotionally feeding me with everything that I feel I would need in a rock star marriage. And I'm really hoping that that continues on, because it's been a really awesome feeling thus far.
Peter and Tayana, share with us, I'm sure our audience wants to know your secrets. You've been rock solid now for 3 years, I presume. What are your secrets? What are your secrets? What strategies have held this together in spite of all the competition of careers and women and I mean adoring women and your life as well?
I would say, to me, I've had a number of failed relationships, and I've realized that the easiest thing to do is simplify everything, and simplify it and just be honest about, this is who I am, this is what I want out of life, this is what I want out of a relationship. You need to do the same. And at that point, we enter into this union together, whether it's a relationship that we have, or eventually a marriage or something. And it's be honest and realistic with yourself and your partner. It does you no good to deceive yourself. It does you no good to deceive your partner. And I think that's it. I mean, I think me and Tiana, there isn't any real high, above-the-shoulder, crazy, conceptual type of applications on our relationship. It's keep it simple. It's, tell me what's wrong. Don't tell me there's nothing wrong when you're sitting there crying because there's something wrong. Be straightforward with me. It's don't leave me out in the dark. I mean, let's, give me what you expect. It's very simple, I think. And the more we've gotten onto the same page of this, I think the smoother sailing and the quicker recovery time when there is, tense moments, we have them. But that's it. It's give the other person what you would want. It's very elementary.
I love that.
And write songs about them. They love that too.
Me too.
Girls love when you write songs about them. You can't go wrong with that.
Lovely. And Tiana, how about you? What would you say has been a good secret?
Keeping no secret. I would say, ultimately, I think for me is learning that you really have to lead from your go into this relationship with a positive attitude and a positive spirit. Don't ever look at your partner like he's a criminal or like he's done something wrong or like he's out to get you or I think it's really important to remember in those moments of stress that you guys are a team and he is on my side and you're working as a collective, and instead of looking in the direction of like whose fault is it or who's it to blame, it's like well how can we learn from this, how can we grow, how can we communicate more. I think a lot of it has to do with just focusing your energy on not only improving the relationship, but on improving parts of yourself so that you can be better as a collective. I think that's really important. And yeah.
Very nice. Conscious loving does equal conscious marriage. So absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Rabbi Steve, how about you? What would you say are the biggest jewels that you can leave us with for Rockstar Marriage?
If you want to have a great relationship, become friends with Peter and Tiana. And I really teach that. If you want to be successful, let's say in the music business, I don't know, Peter, did you get mentoring from anybody? Did you?
What, mentoring? Oh yeah, I mean, I've had tons of lessons. I've had tons of people help me out. Went to music school, so yeah, there's a lot of people who have contributed to my growth.
Right. Exactly. So if you want to be a good musician, you got to get from the previous guys, right, who've done it, right? Where do you want to be, and learn from them. And the same thing in marriage. If you want to have a happy relationship, mix with people who are happily married or have a great relationship, like Peter and Tiana. These are the people you want as your role models. You don't, if you're mixing with single people who are bitter or have problems or whatever it happens to be, you probably, some bad techniques are going to rub off. Right? It's a very simple thing, but your friends should be people who have the kind of relationship you want to have.
And we do in real life actually really teach all our couples that it's really pivotal and important to hang out with other healthy, happy couples, right. If that's what your goal is to be. I don't really hang out with unsuccessful people in business on a regular basis unless I'm mentoring them, because I'm not learning from them and I'm not growing from them. but I hang out with people that are healthy in their love lives because I learn from them, and I can grow from my own life from that. So I think it is actually really wise advice.
Thank
Now,
you.
Paige, what would you say for you? What any last minute tips that you think are great?
Oh, were you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I just looked at our clock.
It happens. That's it.
Let me let me share what I think is probably the most important lesson, not just in relationships. Well, in all relationships, not just love relationships, but in friendships as well. And that is the value of the pause button. Now, what I mean by that is this. There are certain things that just cannot be taken back. Like, for example, the D word, divorce, the A word, or the B word, in terms of either an a-hole or let's just say a B word, in terms of that some people use in talking to their girlfriends or wives. Now, I realize that there are many words that are used, especially today in the 25th century, affectionately. They're negative words, but they're used affectionately. However, when you have a high volume discussion and when you are feeling anger, if you go there, it's like crossing the Rubicon. You cannot come back. There are phrases like, I don't think I love you anymore. It's like you might say later on, well, I was feeling depressed, I didn't mean it. But it's like putting toothpaste back in the tube. Once that is said, once divorce comes into the conversation as an option, you can't put it back. So if you want to not spend your time, an inordinate amount of time in counseling, you have to develop the ability not to go there. Honest communications does not mean toxic, vital, brutal talk. If you love a person, you can respect them best by not saying things that hurt them and later on saying, I didn't mean, because they can't go back. Vivian, preparing that it was appropriate and ties into the theme. She said, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Those are my final thoughts. But we do want to get from everybody, before we leave, how our audience can get in contact with you. And some of we need to know about, especially Peter, your album. Can we start with you? Could you show it to us?
Well, my album is out. It's on iTunes. It's called Don't Let Me Be Alone. My website is www.peterkellymusic.com. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. My new video for my song dedicated to Diana here is on. The video just came out called Like We Do. I'm on Pandora. Anywhere you can find music, you can find me.
Rabbi Stevens.
Yes, get www.getbliss.com. The Bliss book can be found on Amazon. You can email me there. I teach a program once a week in Manhattan on Monday evenings and in DC on Mondays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And feel free to email me with any of your love questions. I'm available.
And Dr. Love, we would love for you to end the program with how we can get in contact with you and your service package.
Great. I also want to add, though, on Rabbi Steve, that he does have a book available on Amazon and his website, but he also has a free downloadable workbook from the Get Bliss program, which is how I found him, and I found it really awesome to kind of work through that workbook. So that's free and downloadable on getbliss.com too. And for me, what's going on? Lately, the latest thing is I have a really crazy travel schedule coming up. I'm extending Love Enterprises into Los Angeles, including the Love matchmaking for the single people. And I have been approached to do a possible new reality show and go film a reel down in Rio de Janeiro, and it's going to be called Olympic Dating. And because of all of this new travel schedule, I cannot do my weekly events at the Trump Towers where I go and I speak to singles and to couples about healthy love. And so because of that, I'm creating new love webinar training courses. I have one tonight, actually at 9 to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, called Fem Love 2016. And all of these will be available on my website soon. And I want to put it out there because anyone that does approach me gets to have one free webinar class for them to experience my work and see if it resonates with them. So please do contact me anytime to check out any of the new webinars that I have going on for free from your own computer. And my information is all available at GabbyLovve.com. That's GABYLOVVE.com. And my email is Gabby@GabbyLovve.com. So thank you all for being here. This has been a really fun night for me. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of our featured guests, Rabbi Steve, Peter, and his chosen one, Tayana, and of course my co-host and producer and director, Cooge. And let me thank you, our audience, for your support and for your interest. You can view all the episodes of the Dr. Love Show direct on my website, GabbyLovve.com, in the Dr. Love Show link. And each new episode, I'm so grateful to say, that is coming out, including this one and Rockstar Dating, our previous one, are now being shown on public access here in New York City. Please join us next time for my next episode called Men Love 2016, where I will be talking about today's alpha male and how he perfects his alpha love life. Once again, thank you for joining me. In love always, Gabby.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. You were great, as well as all of our guests.